I'm the Commissar. We're watching Forged Alliance forever, and you might have made a New Year's resolution. My loyal viewers, if that resolution is not play more faff, then I'm afraid you are in error. And if you want me to prove it, let's take a look at this game. Yes, my loyal viewers, it's a happy new year to you all with the first cast of 2026. And it's going to be a custom 5v5 on a map I think is about 15 kilometers across. We have a north team, we have a south team, arranged in this curious line where they're all in sort of advancing onto the battlefield in almost single file. At the back of that line for the north team, we have JaggedAppliance, who is 2176 rated and Cybran. He's in dark green. In front of him, we have Turbo 2, 2328 rated and UEF. He's in orange. Continuing forward along the conga line, we meet Neytron, who is 1998 rated and Eon. He's in grey. And then we have a pair at the front. On the right, this fellow is Picoo, who is 1727 rated in UEF in dark blue. And on the left, this is Chap, who is 1758 rated in baby blue, and he's gone Cybran. Mirroring them on the other side, at the very back of the line for Southern Team, we have Khal, who is 1565 rated in Cybran in mucus brown. In front of him, we have Resistance, whom we're going to be calling Resi because everyone else does. He's 2271 rated and UEF, he's in red. In front of him, the game's highest rated player by quite some way is Foley, at 2512 rated. He's the game's only Seraphim player, and he's in burgundy. And their forward pair, to the right, we have Doni, who is 1743 rated and Eon, he's in regal purple. And to the left, we have Aranei, who is 1867 rated and Eon in yellow. Now let's look at the map. Big heaps of reclaim here, here, in this canyon, and similarly down on this side. This causeway is quite interesting because you can get past here and here by land, but in the middle, you can't. Now, we saw in the chat that they are agreeing that while on the south team, that Foley in the middle here is going to play air. And the reason for that is he's the highest rated player, and he's expected to be up against Jagged. Whereas Khal, in the rear slot, is their team's lowest rated player and might struggle against Jagged. However, Khal is very quick out with a transport. He's sending it up here, where he can pick up both this reclaim and this expansion, so that's going to be a really good spot to pick up if he's able to. A lot of other players following with drops behind, but Khal's was out first by some way. Neytron there with a drop. Turbo with a drop. Where's Turbo? Well, Turbo's just expanding across the back here, but Jagged is bringing his forward, and Jagged is bringing his forward here. Neytron is bringing his forward here. So Jagged is going for the same position as Khal. And Aranei also coming out. This is not surprising. Everybody loves a good bit of drop. And Doni. This central reclaim is going to be important. Chap already landing here on the central causeway with aim to build an expansion. This is good from Neytron though. He's got just a couple of labs on board his transport, and he's going to deny this expansion from Aranei with a cheeky bit of ghetto gunship action. We do love a bit of ghetto gunship action. Meanwhile though, Picoo is just denying this expansion from Doni with tanks. Will he be able to shut down the factory, or is Doni too entrenched? Well, these engineers will definitely help him out. Over here on the left, Aranei is getting up a factory, but Jagged is already here and already has a factory up, a point defense, Will Aranei be able to take it? He's got a couple of labs in support, but I think Jagged knows he's here. And meanwhile, looking on the inset, we can see Picoo edge building on the central causeway there. Did Jagged just manage to not drop a bomb there? But it gets shot down. This is a this further is good, a piece of artillery to try and combat all this. But Jagged's got more build power here. He's got more factories here producing. He's got a point defense, but I like this artillery supported by labs play from Aranei, and this might actually take it. And in the inset there, we can see Doni dropping on the central causeway. He's behind Picoo in edge build, but it does mean that he's got more engineers there. But remember, Picoo and Chap are both already there. And is Aranei actually going to get this? He's getting enough out that he might just be able to shut down these factories with all this heavy artillery fire. I love it. Neytron bringing in a few labs around the back. Foley supporting with a bomber, shutting down this expansion with all. Remember, all of this reclaim is here. There's thousands here. This will be really important if Aranei can handle it. And we can see that Aranei is bringing his comm in to help out. That's another ghetto coming in from Neytron though, but it might be a bit late because Jagged's now been evicted, and this ghetto on its own, well, it's vulnerable. Foley's got inties in the area. As has Aranei, and despite Neytron having more inties, the ghetto goes down. Lovely work from South Team there. Up here, Picoo managed to get this expansion off Doni with his tanks. We saw it earlier, but Doni is coming in with his comm, which is some excellent fun. Doni's comm is already into the yellow, which could be dangerous for him. There's a decent amount of spam here, but one comm is a match for about 20 tanks, so that should be enough. And if we look at the inset that I'm hopefully about to put up, if my editing works, we can see that both Picoo and Chap are working towards evicting Doni from his drop on the causeway. Remember, both Picoo and Chap beat Doni to the position on the causeway, but Doni's defending pretty well, so good work from our purple player. And Doni is really getting in here. There's multiple units of production here, but look at this. Doni is actually smashing it up, and this is a lot of tanks from Picoo. I don't know why I said Khal there, because Khal is all the way over there. Anyway, this is a lot of tanks from Picoo, but Doni's finally bringing in spam to support, and I think he might actually evict Picoo here. Okay, I mentioned Khal. Let's see what he's doing. Khal is over here, and he's got really well in placed here. He's managed to get a lot of this reclaim. He's got that's a lot of production. That's already 7 factories up, with 2 more being built. So I think he is pretty well entrenched here. Let's have a bit of an overview of what we've got. Map control. Khal has this side. Between them, Resi, Aranei and Foley have this side. So map control is definitely in the hands of South Team. Khal's getting gun. Have we got any other upgrades yet? Not seeing much. Oh, well, there we go. We've got gun going down on Resi. We got stealth going down on Chap. We got gun going down on Picoo. No sooner than I say it, but everyone starts. Excellent work. Resi is trying a cheeky little push up here, but he's going to meet Jagged's comm, and so he's not going to get much done with it. Jagged will be able to shoot him up. Oh, that's nice though. Look at this tiny little arty piece just shooting up the hill, taking out these 2 mechs for Jagged. That's going to be a real thorn in Jagged's side, just slightly irritating him unless he could deal with it. This push is going to die, but 3 mixes for Jagged, thanks basically to this one arty being taken out. That's good work. Doni also going for weapon upgrades. He's consolidating the causeway quite hard. He's got production here. He's got a decent amount of spam here. But we've got a big run-by attempt coming in from Turbo. With a little help from Picoo, but mainly Turbo, and Khal's going to have to fall back. Because look, this passageway could lead down into reasonably exposed mexes if Khal doesn't stop it. And so his units are swarming down. His comm can't come and help because his comm is locked in on an upgrade. Jagged's got to T3 air, which is pretty good, 10 minutes 30. How's Foley doing? Well, Foley is on the upgrade at 80%, but he's not there yet, so Jagged just a little faster. That could be important. And the run-by from Turbo has fallen back. Meanwhile, Picoo still on this upgrade. Was he having power problems or anything? Oh, he's having mass problems. Look at that. Picoo cannot afford this upgrade. Whereas Doni, he's still in the yellow, whereas Picoo isn't, but Doni's finished his gun upgrade. Doni could force a cancel if he pushes in here hard enough. And Doni's also got just finished some T2 production up front, so this could be a bit of trouble for Picoo. However, if Picoo does finish his gun, then Doni's in the yellow. So, and that is a really bad place to stand, Doni, my friend. While Doni and Picoo engage, let's have a quick look down here as Neytron has a decent T2 gunship force, and he is he's hitting Resi's expansion on the flank. So let's have a look at that. While at the same time, we're watching Doni swarming in with his units, and sure, I said Doni had the health disadvantage. He's actually below half health, but this is quite a swarm of units coming in from Picoo. However, Picoo has had T2 production for longer, and is bringing in pillars to help out against Doni, so that is pretty good work. So now they're both in the yellow, but Doni's a bit more in the yellow, if that makes sense, and he's wisely retreating. However, the bombardment of Picoo continues. And they move apart. Turbo has quite a big T2 army up here, which could be a threat to Khal, who's still mainly on T1, but Khal does have gun and stealth, and that should be enough to do a lot of damage. Could see him laying down the action there with his comm. Down here, Resi is pushing, and Resi has not only gun, he's also got shield and nano, which is pretty brutal. And look at the damage he's already inflicted on Chap. Chap does have gun and nano, but he doesn't have as much tech. In fact, I don't see any T2 in there, whereas Resi's got these pillars and shields. But Neytron has gun and shield, and the extra range upgrade on top. So this is going to be quite a big fight, actually. And look at the micro from Resi moving back and forwards. Getting in under his shields, forcing the other comms back, and there just isn't enough spam from North Team to be able to help them out. Neytron's shield is really saving the day for North Team here, I think. But he's got to worry about Resi, who not only has shield, who also has nano. And Chap just doesn't have the hit surf, despite his nano upgrade, to be able to keep in the metaphorical game. There is now T2 coming out from Chap. However, we'll keep watching them, but Doni and Picoo are invading again. Doni on an upgrade there, so not able to support his units. But if he, there we go, he cancels the shield and he's coming forward. Resi really applying the pressure here. Lots of production from Picoo here. And there was production from Doni, but that is a tactical missile from Turbo taking out Doni's production. Doni could actually be in a bit of trouble here. Meanwhile, look at Rezi's swarm. He's really forcing back Neytron, and Chap's over here coming back in with only a little bit in support. There are point defenses for Neytron to fall back to, but his shield is down. He's in the yellow, and those point defenses are no match. These gunships from Neytron might help a bit though, but he doesn't dare to commit them. Is there much flak in here? I don't see any. And now Chap is the focus. Chap is taking the damage, and he's falling back there a bit. Meanwhile, Doni and Picoo also separate, with Doni being the worse for wear there. But though Picoo may have eased off, Doni is not out of the woods just yet. Remember, he's still deep in the yellow, as Turbo's army has redirected itself from Khal and is coming down to fight Doni. No, looks like we've got a bit of a retreat going on there. And so Turbo, I think he's diverting to try the run by again while he applies a bit of pressure, now including T3 on Khal, whose comm could be a little bit exposed up here. I'm going to have to do this again, aren't I? Chap and Neytron are coming back against Rezi, and Chap now has T3 support, but Rezi still has the numbers. Over here, that's actually quite a lot of obsidians that Doni has massed against Picoo. And it's only a couple of loyalists though. Is it going to be enough? Still, Rezi doesn't feel like he's got quite enough left to take it, and Rezi looks like he might be falling back a bit there. However, Doni definitely thinks he's got enough to take Picoo there. Rezi has a turret, but it's been knocked out, and again, look at this. Chap is now absolutely bringing it in. Picoo, however, looks like he might be in a bit of trouble. Yeah, Rezi's falling back. And that is just as well, because I think we need to focus on Doni charging Picoo here. Look at this swarm of obsidians. Picoo is really taking the punishment. And Doni's comm is adding there. Lovely rank of veterancy for Picoo though, but he might not be running fast enough. I think we are about to see our first ejection. We're 16.5 minutes in. Picoo's deep into the red with only 2,000 hit points left, and boom! Picoo is down and out. Meanwhile, Turbo is making huge problems for Khal, with his T3 army pushing in on the front of Khal's base. And Khal's T2 production in this base, in this expansion, is going down, and he's only got T1 left here. And against the T3 Titans, supported by further shields from Turbo, this base looks like it's gonna be an absolute mess. And as if that's not enough, we've got the run by we mentioned earlier coming in here trying to get work done. This is pretty good. These PDs look like they're going to repel this attack down here, and these PDs are actually going to hold back the Titans. Khal could probably have taken more damage there from these Titans if Turbo had pushed, but Turbo wants to wait and regroup, which I fully understand. Aranei has now joined Rezi down here. He's rambled up as well with shield and gun in advanced range. And so we now have 2 gun comms per side here in his ongoing battle. But Turbo's pushing Khal again. Check this out. Khal under a bit of fire, but is Turbo going for another run by? I think he actually might be. Yeah, look, if he get, there might be some units here, but if this one just runs past, it could utterly smash all this eco that is down here. But Turbo needs to micro it still. It's going to kill a decent bunch of Mexes. Ooh. And while we look at this, I'm also going to bring up an inset here, because I see Foley getting some tactical missile hits on North Team's eco on the minimap there. So let's watch that at the same time. That's the few Mex kills. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. On the left, the battle is really heating up between the pairs of Rambo comms, now both with T3 armies in support. On the right, Turbo is moving his run by, and this lot is not going to be enough to stop this vast force of Titans. Khal is likely to lose quite a lot here. And look at that delicious range from these point defenses. Chap is actually pretty badly hurt, and if he stays too close to these comms... In fact, Chap is into the red. Are we about to see an ejection? We have 3,700 hit points left on him. On the right, down goes this other expansion, and I'm sure the one to the south is soon to follow. Aranei and Resi push forward. Chap and Neytron forced back. And down goes that expansion, but I think we better look over here. Chap is so damaged he can't really come in and help, and I think that thanks to that, Neytron and Chap might be about to be evicted from this position by Resi and by Aranei. And indeed they are. Look at this. This is delicious work for South Team. This entire position is going to be taken out. Neytron is trying to push back in a little bit. I think he just wants to reclaim. Look at this horde of engineers. But there's just not enough here to contest this. And already shields being planned for that must be Aranei because they're Eon shields. Nice, they're going to be able to take and I think hold this position. Meanwhile though, the run by has returned and a new army is coming in from the north for Turbo, and Khal is gonna he's gonna be that delicious filling in a Titan sandwich. As he look at the pincer, it is painful. He has got T3 production here, he's got bricks, but one brick against this many Titans, and indeed a Percy of turbos, is not going to help out. Well, not going to help out significantly. I'm sure you knew what I meant. And Khal tries to push in, but Turbo retreats behind the thing. I think he's trying not to kill Khal, because if he kills Khal, then Foley inherits, and Khal is by far the lowest rated player in the game, Foley the highest. Oh, and Khal is agreeing with me there in the chat. Khal is feeling a bit disrespected by Turbo there for being left alive. Turbo just wants to watch him suffer. Is that play going to pay off? But down here we have more pressure from... In fact, Chap has only 1,800, 1,700 hit points left. Is Chap about to be taken out? But Neytron drops himself in on a very heavily damaged transport. As Resi completes a fatty, we can see that notification there. Poor Khal, disrespected so hard he wants to cry. Chap is just running away, and this might be the next base from which North Team are evicted. Meanwhile, good overcharge work from Doni dealing with the Percy's, sorry, from Turbo. Neytron trying to push back, but I don't think he's going to have much hope here, and the base is just dying to this vast bank of spearheads supporting Resi's comm. Eco's remarkably even for this stage in the game, now that Khal's been evicted from this expansion that he was previously holding. What else have we got? As I'm surprised Chap survived that. Oh, we've got tactical missile play going on here. But a T3 factory takes more than one missile hit to take out. Even a support factory. One's down though. I'm assuming that's Doni firing the missiles. Yeah, there it is. And he's gonna... And this is a lot of T3 production, which will be expensive to stop. Oh, but look at that perfect timing as a shield pops up. And now the tactical missile defense going up. Will it be going up in time? Meanwhile, down there, look at that tactical missile sniper going the other way from Jagged on Foley's expansion, and that is going to hurt Foley's eco quite a lot. But the tactical missile defenses are up now here, and They're gonna be able to block it. That nice shield popping out there. T1 bombers. I think are they going for the tactical missile defenses? They must be. Yeah, they are. But now Doni's under pressure from the north, where having completely evicted Khal on this side, Turbo is bringing his army round to pressure Doni from the flank as well as from here. And, you know, this could hurt him a bit. Doni might be forced into a retreat. And meanwhile, Neytron picking himself on that transport. Remember, we noticed that transport was damaged earlier. That could be risky, but I think he's bringing himself in round here. We can see on the inset, he's flying in to help Foley, and if he lands... To help Foley? Or did I say Foley? To help Turbo. Oh, okay, well, that was one ASF. One ASF from Foley. And it snipes out the damaged transport carrying Neytron, and suddenly Neytron is out of the game. Hilarious. I mean, sorry Neytron, but still hilarious. Meanwhile, I've been very impressed that Doni actually held here with his Guncom and his Harbies. He's getting these point defenses up, but these Percies supported by shields are going to be a bit of a problem for him. On the other side, Chap has actually tried to sneak a monkey in, but it came in unsupported, and Reddy's got a fatty, Reddy's got a bunch of Percies, Reddy's got spearheads. Look at the bombardment. That monkey is just dead. And this fatty can now pressure this expansion here quite hard. Chap might be about to lose this, and that's a decent number of mexes that Chap is set to lose. The spearheads will be able to clear through them in a second, even though there's a couple of TMDs there, because of just how much firepower spearheads put out. Jagged does have a GC here, but he's not pushing with it, and I can see why. Against these Percies with a fatty that Reddy can just kite back, and yeah, Jagged falls back. He knows that there isn't going to be much that he can actually do here. A few tactical missiles coming out from Turbo there. What is he trying to take out? The yeah, he takes out those point defenses, which could be nice. Over here, the fatty from Resi is really smashing its way into Chap's eco, and with all this support, there's no way Chap holds on to this. But this fatty over here is nearly finished for Turbo. And when it goes up, Doni could be in trouble. Back over here, and indeed Chap has lost this entire expansion. Painful. But now Jagged is coming in, and this is why, because Chap has a Mega to support the GC. The GC on its own will just die here, but the GC in combination with a Mega, that could be enough. Good positioning from the spearheads on the causeway though, firing down there on the inset. We can see a nice TML hit on Chap's base from Aranei. But Chap got TMD up in time to stop the second wave, and now the GC is actually in, and it's managed to get within range of the fatty. There's another fatty from Resi, but this one's going down. We got the stupid tracks bug. Did anybody ever find out about that? The fatty tracks being hydrocarbons. However, the GC isn't going to get in range of this fatty, which is kiting back, and it is going to be toast reasonably soon. Actually, is it? It's almost there, but it's in range. The laser opens up. But there were Ravagers here to support the Fatty, and the GC goes down before the Fatty's shield does. That was close. How's that Fatty from Turbo doing? Well, it's forcing Doni back. Doni's had to go get right back to this expansion here, and there's already a second one up from Turbo. So this could be a problem for South Team. Khal has done a good job fighting back. He's got a decent horde of bricks heading forward, and Turbo is unable to pressure here. But these Fatties, they're going to be a problem for Doni. Would T2 static RT be the right call here in the base? Shield, static RT, be able to fire up there and push the Fatties back. That will be my call, but obviously all the players here are vastly better than me, so don't ask me. And over here, now that the GC is down, Chap has realised his Mega is not in a winning position as Resi's Fatty's kited, and so Chap is falling back. But he might not be falling back fast enough as this Mega is still in range of the Fatty. So, and it's down into the red. This could actually hurt. Doni hiding under the cliff to try and avoid the Fatty, but look, his expansion is just being bombarded. However, we have Nother fighter bombers, which are an excellent counter for our newer players. T2 fighter bombers in general are a great counter to XBs, especially Fatties. However, the one pass takes the shield down and does a bit of damage, but there's not quite enough. However, good micro from Foley calling it back, and they swing around. However, a mobile shield pops out just in time. It's down. Is the Fatty going to survive this? I don't think it is. Foley's going to lose the fighter bombers, but Turbo's going to lose the Fatty. Unfortunately for Doni, Turbo has 2 more Fatties. Ouch. However, now we've got a Mega. This Mega's still damaged from Chap, but this Mega's new from Jagged, and Resi's having to fall back. Aranei brings in the GC, but it's not in time to save the Fatty. One-on-one, Mega beats GC, but the Mega's already taken damage, and it's also parked within range of these Ravagers. So this GC might just do it. However, we've got another GC from Jagged, and this damaged Mega from Chap coming in to help out. Aranei's GC is not getting out of there. It might not even kill this Mega, which actually gets a tiny bit of vet. However, it's still within Ravager range. This is painful for everyone, really. Doni's being absolutely smashed back by those 2 Fatties, and now by spearheads as well from Turbo. He's lost this entire expansion, and this army is just crushing through. There's nothing to stop it, smashing into Doni's eco, and Doni, despite the shield, is going to have to get his comm out of there. Aranei having to be careful of this GC from Jagged. He's trying to hit it with TMLs, but okay, the Fatty from Resi will probably save it. Actually, will it? Because this GC is just running away, and it can outrun. It can outrun the Fatty, maybe get out of range. Doni completely evicted from here, but now this there's another tactical missile snipe upon the Mega, but it misses. However, the Mega is now within range of the Fatty and is probably going to die to that. GC coming in on this expansion. Point blank tactical missile snipe. Hits it, but the GC has enough hit points to survive, and that is now toast. Poor old Aranei. Meanwhile, the XPs here have gone down, and there's a nuke. There's a nuke hiding in the back here. Should have been watching the chat. He was saying, should I nuke this? The nuke. So Khal has meanwhile built this cheeky little nuke in the back, and I think it's going here. I think it's going for this force that could otherwise overwhelm Doni. So we'll have to watch this attack on Doni's base, but we'll watch the nuke on the inset. And Aranei gets a GC up in the nick of time to defend. Meanwhile, as you can see, the nuke hits those Fatties, and that is great damage from Khal. Kaboom! And we have a defense here from Oh, well, actually, it looks like one of those fatties survived, but even so, pretty good. Pretty good, and there's now a GC here to defend, albeit will it be able to hold against the fatty? More GCs going up. We need to see more defense here, though. North team actually a little bit in the lead on eco now. I'm trying to take a quick breather for an overview. We can see fatty fire shooting GCs and megas there, but that's almost the default state of play now in this area. Meanwhile, I love this from Jagged. He has one GC on top of the cliff, firing down at Aranei's expansion at the bottom of the cliff. Look at this, these are just 3 kills for this GC. And Foley's coming in for it with Nothers, but Jagged takes the airfight above it. The GC is down. The Nothers are flying on, but I want to see who wins this airfight, and I think it's gonna be Foley. Yes, my friends, it is. Foley is going to win the airfight. Foley has air. This could be huge. Meanwhile, this fatty, which is threatening Doni, that's the next target of the Nothers, and I think they're gonna get it. Boom, one fatty down. Nice work, and the next nuke is out from Khal. Where's it going? It's going for the snipe on Jagged's comm. Back here though, where Chap has advanced, and there's a GC chasing him, but Chap has cloak and monkey laser, so this is going to be amazing. But he's running away. The GC's not chasing, so maybe it can't see. No, but Chap's coming back. I want to see this. Are we going to see a comm fighting a GC head to head? Can they see him? No, they cannot see him. His cloak is working. They don't know he's here. Meanwhile, though, I think Jagged might be in a little bit of trouble. And by trouble, I mean nuclear trouble. Kaboom! That is Jagged sniped out by Khal's nuke, while Chap is in here going head to head with experimentals with his cloak laser comm. I love this. This is wild. Well, now they definitely know he's here because they can see his laser gun. And there's a scout going over. There are scouts going over with Omni. They can see him. This could be a problem for Chap. There we go. A comm masering down a GC. We love it. But they can definitely see him, and this is going to be a problem. He's losing health as multiple fatties are bombarding his position, and sure, a cloak gives him a huge number of hits, but does it give him enough hits? However, while Chap is retreating from this fatty, we have 3 fatties from Turbo coming in on Doni's base, but Doni is trying to defend with GCs and chickens when they're hiding behind the hills to stop the fatty by hitting them. Chap, meanwhile, is below half health and still desperately trying to flee as he heads towards his base. And Khal's next nuke is going for the snipe on Chap, and it's leading him very well. This could be a bit of a problem for the North team. Look at these carefully positioned XPs waiting for the advance. But Turbo isn't falling forward, he is choosing not to advance, and he's just letting the fatties do their bombardment work. Though, to be fair, they're not actually achieving that much at this point. All he needs to do is get the angle on them. And Chap thinks he's going to make it out, but is he? Because that nuke is coming in somewhere. There it is. Boom, but Chap is far enough away. He's going to lose that expansion, but Chap is going to make it out. This is great work. And over here we have strats coming in from Foley to defend against these fatties. They're smacking into the army first, though. That could be good. Doni asked him to kill the fatties because these guys can deal with the army, and Chap has survived. That was mad. Turbo now retreating with his fatties to come around and apply pressure to Khal, but 2 can play at the fatty games. We now have 3 from Resi coming forward. Look at him eating up this mega. Who's got the more reclaims so far this game? Well, South Team by a huge margin, by over 100k reclaim. Good work from them. And North Team are losing expansions fast. However, ecos are still almost even. Khal has some very cheeky bricks here getting into the eco for Turbo. This in particular, oh, but there are Percys defending. However, Turbo will have to be on point. If these bricks can get out of range of the Percys, then he's just going to lose these essentially for free. We'll have to check back. No, he's remembered. He's going to be able to shoot them before they do too much damage, I think. And the next nuke is out, and this one is from Resi. Where's he sending it? Well, he's sending it against the army over here for Turbo, which has 4 fatties. So, that could be good if he's able to pick some stuff up. However, let's watch Resi's push, which also has 4 fatties. As Chaps, this is Chaps, like, I would say it was originally his main base. He's obviously inherited quite a bit now. But it's under threat. And again, we're seeing parking behind the hills so that it waits for the fatties to get closer. Inset there showing the nuke hitting for Resi, but it didn't get either fatty. And another nuke's out, this one from Khal. Where's it going? Oh, I think it's going over here. Foley has a Tsar out with a bunch of strats. This is still pretty good for Resi. Khal's expansion is taking damage from these fatties though. Nuke is about to land here. Plonk. That is gonna be painful for chat. 5 fatties now and a Tsar out. But it looks like everyone loves the nuke. We can see on the minimap up here that is the first nuke for North Team. That is Turbo firing a nuke. We'll check where it goes in a second, but I want to see what this Tsar's gonna shoot. Is it gonna shoot this mega? No, it's not. It's gonna fly over the mega. It's gonna fly over the mega and die to ASF. Okay, that was a bit of a misfire from Foley, just losing a Tsar as completely free. Oops. And would you look at that? Turbo has started work on a Mavor. And the nuke hits down here. It only really killed a bunch of defensive units though. I don't like that positioning from Turbo for the nuke.
Strategic launch detected.
Khal fires a defensive nuke up here, but I think it's going to be wasted because look at this. Foley's already doing the damage with his strats, and there's going to be nothing left for the nuke to kill. However, Turbo has simultaneously launched a defensive nuke over here at Resi's army. In they come. Kaboom! So yeah, this nuke over here from Khal. Khal's had some great nukes this game, but that was not one of them. And this nuke also seems to have done more damage to Chap's GC than to Resi's fatties. So not the greatest of defensive nukes from either team there, I've got to be honest. So with 2 of Resi's fatties still pushing in here on Chap, this doesn't feel like great news for North Team. South Team a tiny bit ahead in eco, but I wouldn't say significantly, and the real difference is going to be the reclaim that I think South Team mostly have their hands on. We do have a couple of fatties coming out from Turbo to push down here again, but there's still this line of XP defense hiding behind the rocks. If you had, so earlier I was talking about New Year's resolutions. My New Year's resolution for FAF is more map control. I never play hard enough for map control in the early to mid game, and that generally lets me down, especially when it comes to picking up the reclaim. Well, that's why I was thinking of it later as another fatty comes up the side here. And the defensive nuke play is endless, because I bet that is going out. Actually, where is that going? Is that coming up here? I think it might be. And Chap has a huge wave of Corsairs. Remember I was saying earlier, for the sake of my newer viewers, how good T2 fighter bombers are against experimenters. Nice clear up there of some army.
Strategic launch detected.
But there are the Corsairs from Chap going for the fatty. And down goes the fatty. Doni trying to push in with his 3 assault bot experimentals, but there's just 2 fatties kiting away, and I don't think these guys are going to get a great deal of work done. I think they are just going to die. Yeah, they are. And oh look, Chap rebuilt the base where Jagged got nuked. Guess what's going to happen to it? Over here we have volley after volley of tactical missiles from Chap trying to take out what? The reclaim maybe? Some of these units? I don't really know what he's aiming for, but they aren't hitting anything. See, they're just
launch detected.
Doing nothing. And the Mavor is up, and where it's firing at Foley's air grid, and look at this, Foley's air grid is taking a pasting from that Mavor. If this helps Turbo and Chap get the air win back, this could be massive. And Reddy's next nuke hits the army from Turbo. Amazing. That could be a good one. Well, the Tsar is coming in. Okay, maybe this GC is going to get some work done. He's trying to hit where all the fatties are being built at the front for Turbo, but no. Okay, so the GC is down, and Foley's Tsar chooses not to take the fight and backs away, and the Mavor has not let up. Look at this. There's like no air grid left. This all used to be air grid. However, where Doni's GC's failed, look at the arrow that's been drawn in. Maybe Rezzy's vast army will succeed. 2 fatties, sure, but there's fatties in here for Rezzy, and there's 2 fatties here, and there's a lot of Percy's in support. Will this fatty finish? I don't know. Tsar out from Doni as well as Tsar from Foley, but look at this fight.
Strategic launch detected.
And the next nuke is out. I think it's heading for one of the bases Turbo inherited from Picoo, I think. But we'll watch it on the insert when it lands, as we have before. But look at this. This forward base from Turbo is just going down to Rezzy and to the okay, well, Doni's Tsar is shut down, but Foley's still got his Tsar around there. This fatty was completed, but it feels like too little too late, as there's still 2 fatties from Rezzy and a vast bank of shielded Percys pushing in. Down goes that fatty, and this army, look at this is huge, and this is still just able to bombard. There's that nuke hit. Poor North team. Look at the eco now. North team, suddenly it's gone from being anyone could win to North team were 1,000 eco behind. But they've got a Mavor. So I guess it is still anyone could win. The air grid's been decimated, and where's the Mavor firing now? Well, the Mavor has taken out Rezi's nuke and has done a decent amount of damage down there.
Strategic launch detected.
Khal's still got a nuke though, and he is still firing. And up here now, yet more of Turbo's eco is on the line. Another Corsair snipe out coming for the fatties from Rezi, and he's going to lose one, but these fatties have done the damage. Look at them hitting yet more eco. It feels like North Team is crumbling. Especially, a lot of that is just Khal's nuclear barrage. I bet that, you remember how earlier in the game we were talking about how Turbo had let Khal live? Well, I bet that as things like this happen, he's regretting that choice now. He let Khal live, and now Khal is not letting him live. And Turbo is doubling down on the standoff tactics. He now has a Novax as well. What's that Mavor targeting? Still Rezi? Yeah, he's still going for Rezi's base. And Turbo just resigns. Turbo doesn't think he's good. They've got what it takes.
Strategic launch detected.
And as Khal continues to fire his barrage of nukes, you can see why. However, Chap is still there. Is Chap going to... Well, that's what Chap's going to do. That was not suicide. That was the explosion from a P-Gen. Rezi got Mavor to the face. Nice work. Haha. Mavor to the face. And Jagged is pointing out ACUs as snipe targets for the Mavor. Another nuke just falling there. It's almost like we don't need to but worry about, oh, we hear a explosion, it's just another of Khal's nukes going off. However, this is where a lot of ACUs are, and so this is where the Mavor is targeting. And there's actually also quite a lot of eco here, so speaking of where the Mavor is targeting, another nuke hit to the face. Foley, highest rated player for the game for South Team, is knocked out by a Mavor to the face. And suddenly, there's only players of less than 2,000 rating left in the game. I say that like less than 2,000 rating is a huge slight or something. No, this is just a really high rated game. Meanwhile, Brick Drop up here. Actually, is it Bricks or Percy? Percy Drop. Huge Percy Drop from Aranei over into this expansion. That's good work, and I like it. Zars coming in from Aranei, trying to get to the Mavor, but look at the air defense from Chap. It just shoots down all three Zars. Absolutely no problem. Nice on-point work. And Soul Ripper coming in to clear up the Percy Drop. This is great play from Chap, but this is going to be a problem for him. He's going to have to find some way to stop this big wave of Percys before they get here, and of course all the defences here at the moment are made of Alpha Anti-Air. Very sneaky Continental full of Percys though is dropping right on top of Chap's air grid. We saw Foley losing, and therefore South Team losing their air grid. Could the same be about to happen to North Team as this Percy drop comes in and takes out Chap's air? It's not going to take all of it out because look at this huge wave of Renegade T2 gunships and the Soul Ripper coming in from Chap to protect it, but Aranei's Percys and bricks from Khal are all forcing their way in. Somebody's drawing arrows. That's Rezi and Foley drawing arrows saying, come in, hit the Mavor, you know you want to. There are a couple of brutal Mavor hits landing on the bases down here, but the Mavor has to survive this, and how's it going to? Well, out come the gunships. They're going for... and two Novaces. Are they gonna... oh, they're not going in. Is this a misclick? Where's the Soul Ripper going? And the gunships just fly past the Perseus and straight into... Okay, if anything lost the game for North Team, and I'm assuming they're going to lose, it was that. Suddenly, everything has got through. The Perseus have got through. The Tsar's got through. Chaps lost air. Chaps lost everything. Chaps about to lose the Mavor. Down goes the Mavor. The last best hope for peace, or at least the last best hope for North Team, has been destroyed. Sure, the Tsar goes down, but its work here is done, and Chaps resigns. South Team have won. What an amazing game that was. There's almost a not even trying vibe when you kill the enemy team's 2 best players with direct Mavor hits to the face. And yet, North Team pulled that off and still lost the game. So, where do you think they threw it? Tell me in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and obey. I'm TheCommissar, wishing you a happy new year for 2026, and I will see you next time.